conversation, kind of, sort of, but really you're already getting into this a bit. But it's around leadership lessons. When I was talking to you previously, just in preparing for this actual presentation that we're doing, the conversation that we're doing, really we talked about even some of your core values, and I want to hear your leadership advice, right? I know, and you can even use any word you choose.
Any word I choose.
But really, if someone's coming to you and either they're a new enroll leader or newly CEO, like what sort of advice would you give them?
I've got a lot of it we've kind of talked about in some of these examples. But there are, some philosophies I just live by. The no noise philosophy is just huge for me. I'm also a big believer that, I think it's a Woody Allen quote. It's like 80% of life is just showing up on time, or just showing up. And I, sometimes you just got to show up. You got to be present in meetings, not just physically be in the meeting, but you got to be active, engaged in the meeting. You have to deliver on what you said. I remember once I was talking to the entire staff about, no one works in a vacuum. Person A does this part of the project, and then they turn it over to person B, and then they turn it over to person C, and it kind of goes through, maybe it's from sales to operations all the way to accounting and everything like that. There's like a long list. No one's doing it from A to Z. And so my philosophy was help the next in line. That's what I said. So if I, person A, do my job on time and maybe on budget, and it's neat and orderly, and I turn it over to person B, boy, as person B, that makes my job easier because I didn't get garbage. I got something that was executable by myself. So then my job is to hand it over to person C in the same fashion. So help the next in line. And it was funny. I said this, and one of the sales reps sent me a picture that she was working from home, and she had her laptop, and she had a little yellow sticky in the corner, and she had actually drawn a little picture that said help the next in line. And she says, I heard you, John, and I put that. So every time I do something, when I'm filling out a sales order, I make sure that I'm double checking it. So when I give it to my CSR, my customer service rep, I've made it easy for them to place the order. And so I've helped the next in line. And that's the way she described it. And so that's how so to me, it's kind of like the 80% of life is showing up. It's helping the next in line. It's what can you do to make other people around you, make their jobs easier and less angst, and if you can do that, and you can do it, and you can do it, and they all do that, then all of a sudden you got a happy environment, and people are productive, and they're leaving the office at 4:30 to go home to be with their families, as opposed to bitching that it's 6:30 and they have to sit in traffic and they're going to miss dinner. I'd rather have them go home and then show up early the next day because they're all excited because they know it's going to be productive and they're not going to be banging their head against the wall.
So many good points. So, I think that was my favorite so far. I like that responsibility comes with the voice comes with responsibility, but help the next in line. I think that right there, that should be really a culture philosophy and a core value for the organization. So that was a hint, wink, wink to the listeners for sure. So